Good morning and welcome to my classroom. Well, sort of, right? I learned some fancy tricks over the weekend and I'm continuing to get better. So I hope you enjoy this morning's lesson. Okay? I wanted to start by saying that I missed you over the weekend and I hope you had a great time with your family. And I'm going to go over some new math this week. And it's going to have some review towards the end of the week, but today is going to kind of connect something that we've done in the past with fractions, and I think you'll be impressed. Okay? I want to remind you that there are some things that you'll need to know as we go throughout the video, that there's a chat box that you can feel free to add comments to, and that I highly recommend taking notes today. So if you need to take a moment to get a piece of paper, if you don't already have that, and something to write with, that would be really helpful for today. If not, totally fine. You can watch me and then you can watch it again later and take some notes. Okay? All right. So I'm excited to get started. I miss this place. Don't you? Oh my goodness. I was going through my pictures and I found this one and I thought, oh, that would be so fun. Let's do it. All right. So let me see if I can do this. We are going to do some math together, and I wanted to show you what we're going to be learning today. We're going to be doing some fraction work, and specifically how to interpret a fraction as a division problem. We've talked about this a little bit already, where when we look at a fraction, that actually it is considered a division problem, and so that's what our objective is today. So we're going to see how that connects as we go through our learning today. All right, so I'm going to switch to my desktop so that way I can show you some work with my tablet. I brought my tablet home so that we could work together and that you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so we've seen something like this before where the question says that I have 8 people to share 2 sub-sandwiches, and I want to know how much of a sandwich would each person get. And so we're going to draw a picture to show how those sandwiches were cut. And so I have my sandwiches here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to draw some people down here because I think that it would help me to visualize who these people are and what they're going to be getting, right? And so when I look at this picture, I see my 4 people, actually 8 people, I apologize, 8 people. So let me draw a few more people. Sorry about that. I was thinking 4, but really there's 8. Let me make sure I've got 8 people. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people. You see my 8 people? All right, so I have 2 sub-sandwiches. So I have to figure out how in the world will I share these 2 sub-sandwiches with 8 people. So if I think about how we practice in class, I might start with dividing them in half. Okay, so if I divide them in half, I now have 4 pieces. Is that going to be enough for my people? Not quite, right? I need to cut it some more. So I'm going to cut it again into fourths. I think that might help, right? So cutting it like this means that I have 4 slices on one sandwich and then I have 4 slices on the other sandwich. To me, that means that each one of these people are going to get a slice, right? So now the question is, how much of a slice did they actually get? So I have to look at one specific sandwich to know that, though. So looking at one sandwich, let's just focus in. I'm going to change my color. Let's focus in on one person. So let's just say this is me right here. And I want to look at what I'm actually going to get. I'm going to get that piece right there. So that is one piece out of how many pieces on that sandwich? Well, it's 4, so it's 1/4 of a piece, right? One person will get 1/4 of a piece. That's what that means. So that makes sense. Okay, I get it. And then I'm thinking about, well, each one of those people are getting that 1/4. So I'm just going to count it real quick. 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, 4/4, 5/4, 6/4, 7/4, 8/4. There's 8/4 altogether. There's 8 people. Okay, that makes sense. So then I'm going to think about, well, okay, I'm going to think about what if I think of this as an equation, okay? How many sub-sandwiches did I start with? Well, I started with 2 sandwiches. And I'm thinking about dividing that into how many pieces? Well, what if I don't know? I'm going to think about how many people do I have to share it with, right? So I'm going to divide those two sub-sandwiches by 8 people. I can write that as a fraction. This is the connection I'm hoping we're going to make today. I can write this as a fraction. If I'm thinking about 2 divided by 8, that's the same thing as writing it as a fraction like this. 2 divided by 8. But you're like, Miss Hodges, it doesn't match anything we just did. 1/4, 2 eighths, that's not the same thing. Is it? If I think about another name for 1/4 or another name for 2 eighths, we've talked about AKA, right? Finding an equivalent. So if I wanted to, I'm going to try to adjust this 2 eighths and make it into another denominator. So I'm going to divide this each piece because I noticed they're even numbers, and that's something we've worked on before, creating an equivalent by dividing. And so I'm going to do 2 divided by 2 is 1, 8 divided by 2 is 4. I got 1/4, which is the same thing I got when I did the model version, right? I'm going to take my 1/4 and try to see if it's going to match the 2 eighths. It should, right? If I double it, the numerator, and double the denominator, I would get 2 eighths. So as you can see, I can draw my model, which is important, but something that you need to notice, or you should notice, is that fractions are actually division. All right. So, oops. Let's try another one just to test that out. Okay? So let me look at this one and think about what it's asking us to do. How much would each child get if there are 4 kits and there are 5 granola bars? Well, let's do it with the picture way first. I know that in the past we've answered this question actually before, and so I would say that this whole bar would go to this guy, this whole bar would go to that guy, and each person would have a bar. But then I would have 1 full bar left over that I would need to still divide evenly between those 4 people. So then I know that's easy. I could just divide that into 4ths, right? And then each person will get a piece of that. So I can just draw lines and connect it. So when I think about how much does one person get, so here's me again. How much do I get? Well, I get 1 full bar, and I also get 1/4 of a bar, right? Easy peasy. So now we're going to check the way that we just learned. Well, wait a minute. How could I just right away go into a division problem or right away go into a fraction, right? So let's think about what's happening. What are we trying to share? Granola bars. So we have 5 granola bars, and we're going to divide it by how many people? 4. And if I want to rewrite that as a fraction, I'm going to do that again. Let me say it out loud as I write it. I have 5 granola bars, and I'm going to divide it by 4 people. So 5/4. But wait a minute, Miss Hodges. 1 1/4 you said was the answer. I know. So 5/4. Does that mean the same thing as 1 1/4? Let's check. So if I'm going to break this 5/4 and decompose it, I know that I can take a whole out by doing 4/4. And that will leave me with just 1/4 left, right? Because 5/4, breaking that apart to be a 4/4 and a 1/4, that makes sense. So then I have 1 whole, which is that 4/4, and 1/4. They match. All right, so hopefully that was a mind-blowing experience for you. I know it was nice for me too to say, oh, I know how to do this. Oh, that makes sense. And I was pretty excited to show you how to do that, especially using the tablet like we're used to in the classroom as well. Okay, so that's what we just figured out, how to turn our model into actually a division problem, which is actually a fraction. Exciting. All right, let's see, sorry, technical difficulties. Give me 1 second. Okay, let me shrink that over. Let me switch back to me. Let me close this out. Switch back to me. All right, so hopefully today's learning made sense. If you need to see it again, watch it again, because I think it was a pretty good head start for today's work. When you guys get started on your work today, your workbook pages will be 367 and 368, which is the back. And so it's going to be continuing practice, and there's going to be a few models you'll get to use, and then also there'll be some space if you're just going to start working on just turning it into a fraction and figuring out the answer that way. I will say that AKA, or finding different ways to write the same fraction to mean the same thing, might be the way to go for some of these questions, okay? All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and do our number talk together. And so our number talk today is going to be 5 times 1/2. So 5 times 1/2, and this is going to be mental math, so that means you're going to do this in your head, and then you're going to share your response in Flipgrid, just like we've been practicing. Thank you for all those who have been using Flipgrid to explain your number talk and your thinking and your strategies. So for this question, I'm hoping to have multiple ways to solve it. So if you have more than just one way to solve it, feel free to share that in your Flipgrid video. All right, so to recap, there are 2 things for math that I need you to do today. First of all, you're going to do your number talk, and so you're going to go into Flipgrid. I have posted the slides into Google Classroom. Oh, I just saw my comment box, I'm sorry. Good morning, everybody. You're going to have your Flipgrid video that I would like you to respond to, so 5 times 1/2, that is the question today. And then second of all, you're going to do your workbook pages that will be continuing practicing with sharing food, which is most of the questions. I will say that I am also trying a new way to post your assignments because I have all the slides. That didn't change. The slides are there in Google Classroom, but the way I'm giving you your documents to actually turn in your work. If you go to Google Classroom and on the top, you'll see the tab at the top that says assignments. You'll notice an assignment section that is dated for today. So you'll see both your language arts and your math assignment for just today. That way it's easier for you to find. I know some of you guys kind of lost it or didn't know where to look for it. So trying to make that easier for you after having those issues last week. So if you can't find it, please let me know. But again, in Google Classroom, if you click on the assignment tab, you'll see where today's assignments are. And your slides are in there as an announcement like they always are, so hopefully you found that as well. I will be making another video for language arts with a different background in our classroom, so I hope that you guys watch that video as well to learn about what to do with our reading language arts stuff as well. Okay, today we're going to be doing a writing assignment, but it's going to be a fun one, like a journal entry, pretending like we are somebody else, so I hope you tune in for that. All right, guys, if you have any other questions, please let me know. And if you need to watch this video again, please do. Because if you need it to help you with your practice today, go for it. You can watch it again. All right, guys, I miss you. I can't wait to see you again soon. And I look forward to seeing your Flipgrid videos. Have a great day, guys.